Guys, quick, subscribe to the channel in the next 10 seconds or nothing is actually going to happen. Honestly, like, only 20% of you guys who watch my content are subscribed, so if you really want to support me as a creator, just please consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video. That's actually all I ask for you to do. It's completely free. You can always unsubscribe in the future if you don't enjoy my content anymore. Just please give me a chance. Yo guys, what's going on? It's your boy Fxtch here, back with a brand new YouTube video. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys how you can actually improve your movement and basically just get better movement within Fortnite. Sorry if I'm speaking a little quiet in this video. Basically, my nephew's sleeping around, so I gotta be quiet, but I'm grinding out the content regardless. It's like 3 AM, so it kind of doesn't help. But we're grinding out content, guys. Daily uploads. I told you, like, I'm not missing a day. Also, I did promise shorter intros, so we will get straight into the video. But before we do that, if you enjoyed the video, the least you can do for me is drop a like. It takes 2 seconds, really does support the channel. You can also go the extra mile and subscribe to the channel with post notifications on. Therefore, you never miss an upload. Just like this, you know, treat this video how you want your video to be treated. Who knows? The world's crazy. Manifestation. You may get like a lot of subs. That's a lie, okay? It won't always happen, but
what? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
just treat the video how you want yours to be treated. Who knows? Also, we are like super close to 60,000 subscribers, so yeah, just it would mean a lot if you subbed. So hopping straight into this, we're not going to beat around the bush, we are just going to get straight into explaining how you can improve your movement. And the first thing would be actually kind of self-explanatory. I'm sure a lot of you guys do know about this, but it's if you are using a controller, you are at the advantage. And if you are not on a controller, you're on a keyboard and mouse, I'm not saying you should switch to controller, it's definitely not what I'm trying to say here, but if you do, you will have an advantage. You're going to have double movement. I know controller players are in the comments right now complaining that, like, you know, you don't get much of an advantage, all this stuff, but you do. And double movement, it's a great thing. I mean, all the pro players were literally cheating to use it. They were using double movement macros to actually get that in Fortnite, and if they weren't actually using a macro, they were like taping their keyboard. And this was actually only like last month, and then now Fortnite have actually patched that, so keyboard and mouse players cannot get double movement whatsoever. So basically the only way you can actually get that is, yeah, to be on a controller. It's native to a controller, full 360 movement, and it really does help out. So if you are on a controller, I mean, if you are watching controller players, you'll see that movement looks insane, it looks really smooth, and it's super clean. And the only way you can get that is to be on a controller. I'm not saying, again, you shouldn't switch. I mean, you can switch if you want, but all I'm saying is it's a way to get better movement. Again, kind of in practical, like, in a way, you're not gonna do it. I don't think any of you are actually gonna switch because of this. Personally, I mean, I like double movement, but I don't like it that much to switch to a controller. All I'm saying is if you're on a controller right now, you're already in advantage. Like, you probably don't even need to watch this video. Your movement is probably insane as it is. And now swiftly moving on to the second tip, or what I'm going to talk about now. This video is actually also going to be a little bit jumbled up, messed up. Like, there's no actual pattern or correlation to anything I'm going to mention in this video. So for example, if I'm going from one tip to another tip, I can't really link them. Like, usually I would write a big script, I'll link them all together, make it flow. Like, the tips are usually put in order so you can go through, like, work on each tip and improve. But for this video, it's like kind of hard. Like, moving in Fortnite is kind of a vast topic, like it's a wide topic in a way, and it's actually very hard to improve it. Like, there's only like these little things I can give you, these small tips here and there, which will slowly add up and better movement. Like, you're not going to see the world of a difference after you watch this video, but it should definitely help. And the next tip I'm going to talk about actually comes from a YouTuber called Refo or Refwo. I'm butchering that name. But he did actually make a similar video covering how to improve movement. He is actually on a controller, and what he did recommend, this goes for controller, keyboard, and mouse, it doesn't matter what input you are, but when you're building and you're just always moving around, it's basically just always run, keep sprinting. Like, I know a lot of people's movement only looks bad because for some reason they don't sprint all the time. I know this is gonna sound super stupid, but when you're free building and you're doing stuff, you need to have good binds. This actually does kind of link to my next tip, and that's gonna be keybinds, right? Having good optimal keybinds that you can work with and having a good sprint key. I know there are settings where you can have like toggle sprint, auto sprint, so you're sprint by default. Basically, that is a good thing to have on, because if you're always sprinting by default and you don't actually have a bind, like a separate sprint bind, it actually will make it easier to sprint, and your character is always sprinting, which will basically mean you have better movement, because if you actually have to press a dedicated sprint key to sprint alongside your actual movement bind, so whether that's WASD or something else, you can actually have different movement binds. We'll talk about that later in the video. But if you do have a dedicated sprint bind, it also makes your keybinds less optimal because you have an extra bind to press, another thing to think about, and you know that can also cause issues performance wise in your gameplay. But not only that, sometimes you may not press the bind, you may miss the bind, and you're not always sprinting. It means sometimes you're stopping, sometimes you're only walking, and that can affect how fast you're building, how fast you're doing things, running around corners, box find. Just like every aspect of the game which requires movement, it can affect it. So just make sure you have a good sprint bind, probably sprint by default, and you don't have a separate bind for sprinting. I know a lot of you probably already have this, but I know people that do have dedicated sprint binds. You just have to get used to sprint by default. It's that simple. simple. And now moving on to the third tip, I guess it also kind of links, and you know, in relation to keybinds, yeah, you need optimal keybinds. I've made multiple videos about how to get the best keybinds, most optimal keybinds in Fortnite. I go really in depth on what optimal keybinds are, I define it, and also talk about why it's so important for Fortnite. So you should definitely give that a watch after this video. I will link that down below. But when I mention keybinds, most specifically, I mean your movement binds, right? So we already mentioned WASD. It's a common one. I'm sure 90% of you guys on this video, or not even that, 99% of you are using WASD as your movement within Fortnite if you are on a keyboard, but that actually doesn't have to be the case. Sometimes, if you want to have the most optimal keybinds, you may have to actually change your movement. I know this doesn't go for everyone, but even ESDF, now that is a combination or movement combination that people are using. So you have WASD, and actually kind of right next to that, it's only like technically one across on each bind. It's ESDF. So you'd use E to move forward, you'd use D to move backwards, you'd use S to go to the left, and F to go to the right. Now, I'll try and show a photo on screen of how the keybinds look, but this is something you should definitely consider. Maybe just go on your keyboard now as you're watching this video, maybe open a notepad, or just make sure you're tabbed off the video so you don't accidentally like press something and close the video, I guess. But just touch ESDF with your fingers, like hover over it and just get a feel for it, you know? Do you think that feels good? Maybe try it in game and see if you like that. It's kind of like, this sounds really dumb, but it's like playing claw on keyboard. It feels weird to me. I do prefer WASD because it's just more natural for my hand position, but some people have switched this. There are some pros that do use ESDF and it does work for them. So what I'm getting at here is you shouldn't rule that out completely, and also some people just didn't know that was a thing. Some people are just, I guess, scared or just wouldn't think you could actually change your actual movement on your keyboard. But yeah, it's not just like your editing binds or your building binds. You can actually change your movement and it may work. You may even have some other funky combos for moving around. If you actually have any other binds besides WASD or ESDF for movement, comment them down below. I'm actually interested to hear that. And now moving on to what I think is the fourth tip in this video. We're putting like tip number 5. I get so confused and get mixed. I think this is tip number 4, okay? But this tip is going to be for you controller players out there. Again, it's not going to apply to everyone in this video, but if you are a controller and you are not yet making use of both claw and paddles, I would recommend you do so. And it's not even me who just recommends this. A lot of the best controller players, you know, whether that's building, like the best mechanical controller players or the best pro, like all-round pro controller players, they are using both claw and paddles. Paddles basically just gives you more options. Like you can set your paddles to different things, like macro. It's kind of like a macro on controller. You can make use of them for like different binds maybe on your controller, and maybe they will help your movement. I guess that's how it works with control. Again, I'm not a controller player, but paddles, they are said to help. And also claw, I know you guys probably know what this is, but I'll try and show a photo on screen of what claw looks like. Like it's like weird how you have your hands. Personally, if I was on a controller, I could not play claw. Like I play Cold War, like Black Ops Cold War, the new game, and I play that on a controller. That's the only game I play in controller, and I play that like normally in the, like, I'll try and show also a photo of how you normally play with a controller. I'm sure you all know, but yeah, I kind of play like this. I know a lot of people also play like claw on Cold War and claw on like literally any game on PlayStation or on a controller, whether that's maybe Xbox or you are just using a controller on your PC. People just play claw all round, and apparently it's helpful. Personally, it feels weird to me, but it's something you should never rule out, and you should definitely give it a try. I mean, again, most pro controller players are using claw. There's definitely a reason behind it, and I know for a fact from what I've heard, it does help movement. And also another thing for you controller players, your joysticks, like your thumb grips, you can actually get extenders for these. So again, I'm not like a controller expert, but I know Fxtch actually sold Control Freak like thumb grips for your controller. They basically raise the size of your joystick and just make it longer in a way, which can also be beneficial to your gameplay. And obviously you use your joysticks, your thumb grips to move around and your movement within Fortnite on a controller. So this could also help. Maybe your thumb grips are too small, so you need them higher so you can reach them, and they're more accessible, and this may help. And now moving on to the 5th tip in this video, it's going to just be practice. I probably should have put this at the start, but I always usually mention this at the start and people probably skip it because I like practice. Surely that's just common sense, but it's really not. A lot of people are not practicing effectively enough or efficiently enough, and you're just doing the same thing each and every day. I mean, one way you can actually practice movement the best would just be just sitting creative and just crank. Free building is a great way to practice movement because you're always moving. You're jumping on different build pieces, different stairs, different ramps, all this stuff. You're doing retakes, editing pyramids, cones. You're jumping, you're making a ton of edit combinations and doing cone jumps, things like that. You need good movement for, and that will in fact revise your movement. You know, it's going to help. And another thing that can also really help movement will be box fights as well. You know, you do have to do a ton of peeks, different angles, and for this you will need good movement to basically, in some cases, literally dodge shots. Or if you're even doing like a peanut butter or making a window peek, you need good movement to actually perform that window peek and kind of flick your shot a little bit and make sure it's an effective window peek. Like, trust me, when you're playing against actual players, just general playing the game and practicing, you're in fact revising movement this way. So it kind of could just be down to you not playing enough, or maybe you're just not playing anything as competitive. So you maybe just sit in public games all day. That isn't going to help your movement, and it also generally isn't going to improve you as a player. Maybe if you're guilty for that, just play more arena. You may be scared of arena, maybe you're just dying a lot, but even if you're dying, you feel like you're playing against better players, you can actually learn from that. And for the most part, but like arena's like point based, so if you have low points you'll also match against people with low points, so that should never be an issue. Another final thing I'm going to mention in this video, again I'm sorry that it's kind of jumbled up, mixed up, like there's no order I can put this in, it just wouldn't make sense. But the final thing, it's going to be an actual movement practice map. Now you probably didn't think this was a thing. To be honest, I didn't even think this was a thing myself till like 2 days ago when I got this video idea, but there's actually one guy, like the savior of Fortnite, who has actually made a movement practice map, so it's dedicated solely to practicing your movement. Now I know for the majority of this video we've talked about solely just your basic movement, how you can just move around better, but also movement does link to a ton of other things, like you're fighting with movement, so just how you're like crouching up and down, you're kind of, I think it's called e-nassing, where you're just going back and forth, you're dodging shots, so you know where to position yourself in a fight, in a certain angle, a certain peak, you know how to position yourself, you know how to move based on your opponent. Like that is all movement, like it all correlates and links together kinda. So if you guys generally want like a well put together movement course, like a literal course on how to practice your movement, like it will literally cover every angle of movement within Fortnite, so you can also generally just better as a player when doing this. Like you're not just gonna perfect movement, you'll actually generally get better as a player, and this could just be a great warm up when you're hopping on the game. A guy called Jazz, actually, you know, I already said he did make a map on this. I'll put you the map code in the description. Also shout out to Jazz, he is the creator of this map. I'll link his actual original video down below. He made a video covering this map. It's like an 8-minute video. He goes in depth and goes through the map. He shows you the best way to navigate through the map and explain some things, so you should definitely give that a watch, because trust me, it's super beneficial and it is literally the only movement practice map in the game. And with that all being said, that is all I have for you guys in today's video. If you did go ahead to enjoy it, the least you can do for me is drop a like, subscribe to the channel, post notifications turned on. You guys know the drill. Also, if you guys have any video ideas whatsoever, I'm sure most of you guys watching the video right now are probably loyal viewers to my channel. If you have any video ideas whatsoever, generally comment them down below. Just make sure you state that it's a video idea. Don't just comment some random words. I'm gonna be confused, right? So just comment down below. Maybe just put like video idea, then do like a dash. This sounds so dumb, and then write the video idea. So I'm dumb. I'm a bit slow, so just it'll help me know if it's okay, bro. What am I saying? But just comment ideas down below, you know, I'll probably make a video on it if it isn't super right. And with that being said, I hope everyone has an amazing day. It's been your boy Fxtch, and yeah, peace.